Colin.
And I'm John.
And we're joined tonight by Yogi, John Hughes. Yogi,
Brilliant.
how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, guys. I'm doing fine.
Good to have you on. We were just talking as we came on at your just off the golf course and just back for Turkey. Not normally you can tell when somebody's back for Turkey because they've got the hair and the teeth, but you're looking, you're still recognisable, Yogi. So I think it was just a golfing holiday, was it?
Just a golfing holiday. My golf was so bad. It was disappointing. Holiday, great, but great bunch of boys, but my golf was terrible.
He is sitting down though, so maybe he's got a Brazilian butt lift that he's not shown us.
Yogi, thanks for joining us tonight. We normally on a Sunday we've got a game to talk about, and we'll go through what's happened on a Saturday or the Sunday or again, whatever daft time they've got us kicking off. But obviously we're not playing till tomorrow night, so probably towards the end of the episode we'll ask you for some of your thoughts on how Hibs will get on at Ibrox tomorrow. But before that, we'll have a bit of chat about your time at Hibs and maybe kick off with a wee bit about what you thought of Hibs season so far.
I think it's been up and down. I think a big part of that has been the European campaign. If you look at the history of any Scottish teams that qualify for Europe, I think it takes a lot out of them. You know, the European campaign was so enjoyable. Some of the games, unbelievable, and the boys have done really well. So we had to sort of recover from that, get ourselves going. And then when I say a sort of mixed bag, I'm talking about you're beating Kilmarnock 2-0 to come back and get a 2-2 draw. You're beating Falkirk 2-0 to come back and get a 2-2 draw. You're beating Livingston, I think it was 2-0 to come back and get a draw. You're sort of saying to yourself, that's points that we need in the bag. So it's been a wee bit of a mixed bag, but very, very enjoyable. You know, as you say, I do the ambassador role up at Easter Road now, and I really enjoy going up there. I really enjoy the football. I watch it. I think we've got some real exciting players. And I think in the midfielder in Mulligan, I think that possibly got one of the best midfielders in Scotland.
What is it like about Mulligan, Yogi?
I just think he's got everything in his locker. He gets up and down the park. He's got great legs. He can see a pass. He's got a goal in him. I get a little bit frustrated like most people, and I know managers have to do that when we take him out the midfield and put him in that wing-back role. He's not the same player. It's like, for me, it's like you're saying to Roy Keane, can you go and play in a wing-back or right-back? Wing-back role for me, you're taking your best midfielder out of midfield. You know, I totally understand that because ever since we sold the big boy Muller down to Blackburn, I'm sort of saying to myself, being a manager and a coach, I was looking at it and saying that could cause us a problem because he could play right back and he could play centre half. If Cadden's injured, then you're struggling for a right back or a wing back. And I think that's come up every now and then when Cadden's been injured. You know, we're struggling to fill that void at who plays right back. And Mulligan, for me, in that midfield, you know, he's got the drive, he gets up and down the pitch. And the last game there against, what was the last game we were playing against there? Against Falkirk. He was outstanding. He has to be in the World Cup squad, has to be going to the World Cup.
We've been speaking about him a lot on the podcast, and obviously there's been some comparisons with John McGinn. Yogi, what would you think about that?
I've heard a lot of people saying that. As you say, when you're up there doing hospitality, everybody's, you know, the thing about that is if he has a career that John McGinn's had, then he's done really well. But let's not put expectations on him. Let's just leave him and let's just enjoy him for the next 2 or 3 seasons. Because we want to start keeping, we want to be at the stage that we want to start keeping our good players. You know, but that is certainly a player that I went, you're a lot better than I recognised. And I just see him getting better and better and better as the weeks go by. It looks like he's a leader. It looks like he demands a standard. A great runner with the football. You know, and as I say, I think he's got a few goals in him.
Right. We've got a couple of comments coming from YouTube already. So Alan Anderson says, love you, Big Yogi. BM says, morning, lads, with a wee kangaroo. So obviously watching from down under. J Star said, congratulations to St Mirren. Hopefully we can make it a bad couple of days for both Old Firm. Both rotten just now. We take a couple of these St Mirren players, but Alan says, buzzing for Ibrox tomorrow. Have a good feeling. Rob said, even all St Mirren honouring Yogi's appearance tonight with a 3-1 scoreline. Realistically, could we see a non-Old Firm top 2 at the end of the season? What do you think about that, Yogi? Is there any chance of a non-Old Firm top 2 at the end of the season?
I think we've got ownership at Hibs. We might have a wee bit of day. You have to take your hat off to Hearts for the season that they're having right at the moment in time. And you're sort of saying, I think that bubble might burst, and the result, and it sort of did a little bit, but the result they got playing against Celtic at Parkhead, they're off and running again. Great result the other night. They're in horrendous conditions against Falkirk. Falkirk at home on the AstroTurf's a real difficult place to go. So you sort of say that, but you can only look after what you're doing yourself. And I think we've got ownership now that come Christmas time, I think they'll invest.
Mm-hmm.
I think they'll invest. I think they'll go looking. You might have to ship one or two out and about, but I think they'll go looking and say, right, well, any opportunity that you get come a window to get one or two players in, then let's go and do it. No, that's so easy saying that. It's the quality player that comes in. I'm massive on recruitment. No point in recruiting someone if you're not got to go right in your starting 11. And if you get one that's got to go right in your starting 11, you're saying to yourself, right, well, the pedigree that we've got to try and recruit for to do that is going to be very, very high. Mm-hmm. And hopefully that could be the case, even if it's one. Every team, every squad needs that wee injection to say, there you go, there's another one. That's what we're trying to do at this club. That's how we're trying to move it forward. And what that does, I done an interview on the Hibs TV before the game against Falkirk. That competition for places is very, very good, as long as it's healthy and everybody's encouraging each other. And hopefully that'll be the case. Saying that, if it doesn't happen, I'm just delighted that we've got the skipper back in Joe Newell. I think Joe's a fantastic footballer. He's no blessed with great legs, but his brain and his football ability is way ahead of anybody at the club. And if he can keep himself fit, he might be like a new signing. Mm-hmm. So there's good times ahead. There's really good times ahead for Hibs, but we just need to keep our foot on the floor. I'm hearing just wee whispers that we might still be after the boy Dykes, Lyndon Dykes, and the right back. It was on loan from Arsenal just for a short period of time. Went to Ipswich.
Harry Clark.
I'm hearing that's the two that's on the agenda, but I'm only hearing what you guys are probably hearing as well.
Aye. And is that where you would start, Yogi? What positions would you start with?
I think we've just talked about Mulligan got to play in that wing-back position, so you're sort of looking at if it's Harry Clark. Saying that, I think Cadden could probably play right side centre-half as well. So that's you didn't want to take Mulligan out of there, so it's Harry Clark. He's a super footballer, a real good footballer. He's an athlete. He had a real bad injury. And if you got the two, listen, I think everybody would be happy, definitely happy. Mm-hmm. Midfield, we've got plenty. I just feel for guys like the boys like Levitt and Chisholm and all these guys that have found themselves in the team, out the team, competition for places. Just make sure that you're the best on the training pitch every day. And if you get in the team, that's one thing about David that I've noticed. Right back to the goalkeeper last year, Smith. Remember we were playing in Europe, he had a real bad first half against one of the teams. I was in doing the lounges and all the boys says, you need to take him off. He was a man of the match second half. He kept Hibs in the game. He was outstanding. And that's one thing about David. If you're doing the business, he sticks by you. He shows that loyalty. And that's all a footballer can ask for.
How would you have handled a situation like that, Yogi? Like we've obviously, you had the goalkeeper school at Hibs famously, didn't you? Like if you've got a keeper, they're a bit different, aren't they? The centre half having a shocker. How do you handle that situation?
But you would have left him. If you took him off, you would have killed him. You would have still been picking him up now. And I think Smith's a little bit unorthodox, but that's not getting away for the season he had last year. He was outstanding. Mm-hmm. He makes his saves. I seen he had a double save. I think it was against St Mirren.
It was.
Wow, unbelievable. And as a centre half and a goalkeeper, your relationship. I used to say to my goalkeepers, "Are you coming for it?" If he goes, "No," I know I had to go and head it because he's a liner, he's staying on his line. But most of the goalkeepers that stay on their line are great shot stoppers and good with the ball at their feet. So there's a balance, you know. And it's up to these guys to get back in the team. But once again, that's all credit to David Gray for just showing the trust in him and the confidence in him and to keep him in. He found the sell out the team right at this moment in time, but no doubt football, you know, you get your opportunity. That's why you train really hard. You keep yourself totally focused, concentrated. When your time comes, you make sure that you grab it.
You said, John, that if Gray had dropped Smith at half time, had subbed him and brought Salinger on, that would have killed him. But Smith only lasted, I think, maybe for another couple of games before Salinger did take the #1 spot and has kept it ever since. So, how do you think Smith might have been feeling afterwards, and how would you manage that relationship between the two goalkeepers and trying to get the best out and keep everyone happy?
Well, 100%. But what is you're doing is, I think if you're taking him off because of the first half that he's had, you're saying to yourself, you've killed him because he knows he's getting substituted because of that. I had the same problem. I think I was playing Celtic with big Macalambe in goals. Was it Celtic or Rangers were playing, and big Macalambe wanted to come off, and I'm saying, I'm struggling. He had a hamstring problem. She says, you need to stay on. And it was that sort of relationship that you have to say, I need you. You know, I need you. And I'm quite sure that's part and parcel of management. Your empathy you've got with your players, your relationship that you've got with your players. Doing it 2 games later, as David sometimes switches his team up, but Smith just has to take it on the chin. You need to take it on the chin and say, right, okay, and you have to be supportive. You know, we're all disappointed when we're not playing and we get dropped. And you have to be supportive of your teammate and the guy that's in your position. It's not always easy. It's the most difficult thing on a football pitch because you're training every day, you're giving it everything that you've got, and you're not getting selected, and you're saying, I've not done too much wrong, but it's a manager's choice. It's not until you go into coaching and managing. I like McLeish done it to me the second year round when I wasn't getting a game for a while, and the two of us fell out a little bit. And eventually we sort of made it up, and he says, right, come on, get yourself going. And it wasn't a problem getting dropped. I felt that being the captain of the team, going into a new season, re-signing me, he should have been a little bit more, his communication should have been better and saying, Yogi, this is what I've got planned. You're not going to play every week and all that stuff. And then you sort of say to yourself, right, well, I've got a choice to here because I want to play football every week. Never been in it. I've never played football for money. I've always played it for the love of the game, where it broke my heart to leave Hibs. And anyway, it worked out, but that's part and parcel of football. I've been a player, I can guarantee you, in all my career, I've never banged on a manager's door. Once I've done it is when I went to see Alec about not getting a game. And it was just the way that I felt it could have been handled a little bit different right for the start of the season. It's the only time I've ever banged on a manager's door. And I say that to all my players and all that stuff. Listen, let your training do the talking. I'm watching. My attention to detail, the way you walk in, your character, your body language, I'm watching. I'm watching you. Let your training and your conduct get you back in the team. And if you've got that, you're 9 times out of 10, you're in a winning team.
That was one of the things you were big on as a coach, of the character, Yogi, as well. I remember for your time at Hibs, sort of changing the dressing room to bring in big characters and that. What is it about that characteristic that you place so much importance on?
Most of the characters have got massive egos. That's the thing about it. They all come in here, they've all got great egos. So I don't mind a big ego because they believe in themselves. I know, do you fuel it? Yep, you certainly do. You know, one of my great sayings is to the players that, you know, this is your castle. You're the king of the castle. Just go and take the keys. It's yours. What he doesn't know is I'm saying that to every player in the dressing room. You know what I mean? So they're all feeling $1 million and you're trying to get the best out of them. But most of it's done on the training pitch. I don't think if you're training properly and your training sessions are stimulating the players and they're all game related, your training sessions tell you who should be in the team and who shouldn't be in the team. I learned when I went to Celtic, I come from Falkirk, and I was at Falkirk for 6 years. We had a great time under Jim Jeffries and Bully Brown, two guys that, you know, I owe everything in my career to. I got lucky. I got two guys. I met them at Berwick, and I had two guys that really took to me and really fancied me. And that's massive important when you go to any football club that the manager really links you and links your character and sees the best in you. And then when I went to Celtic, it was like, wow, no disrespect to Falkirk and the players at Falkirk, you know. And the training wasn't much different from what Bully Brown put on at Falkirk. But I just went, wow, who's turned the lights on here? It was like 2 gears up. It was all 1 and 2 touch, below head height, pass smooth, never get caught on the ball. Everything was geared to condition. So if I was a centre half, I couldn't get out my feet and play a long ball on a 7-a-side. It was hard to pass, get it back, pass. Tommy Bonds would say to me, what position do you play? I said, I'm a defender, centre half. No, in the training picture, no. You're a footballer. You have to be, you know, and he's wanting you playing around the corners, getting it, playing. And everything like that just got carried on to a Saturday. Come a Saturday, we were just popping teams off the park. We were absolutely just boom, 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 boom. And you were just going, right. And that was where it clicked to me, no one understands you train the way you play. Saturday was easy. The training was harder. Trust me, I've heard many players saying that. The training was harder. If we played young v old, you're talking about young Jackie McNamara, Simon Donnelly, Brian McLaughlin and all that. It was, what a game it was, young v old. It was unbelievable. And some of the players I had the privilege to play with, the three amigos, Van Hooijdonk, De Canio, Cadete, Paul McStay, what a footballer he was. John Collins, what a player John was. If you didn't know it, sit down with him for half an hour, you'll soon find out. You'll get to see the six-pack. No,
Well, we'd like to do that, Yogi. I've messaged him and he's not replied, so I'm going to get you to chase him for me.
Oh, I'm going to tell you something. Go on YouTube and go and watch the goals that John scored on YouTube. Some goals. And the thing about John could do it all. John could come back and be the playmaker, or he could go and play one forward in the midfield and go and score goals and join the strikers and score goals. He was the most dedicated footballer I think I've probably ever worked with. I can remember a story with John when we were at Celtic 96, so it was the Euros 96, wasn't it? We've got a golf day. The Euros, John was sponsored by Adidas. So Adidas are supplying the ball. It was the Tangos or whatever it was, Adidas. John's got a bag of balls doing gala, practicing his free kicks. And we're away golfing with Celtic. That's how dedicated he was as a footballer. His partner, I was the king of the gym, just let him tell you that. He used to think he ruled the gym and I turned up at Celtic. Get out my way, square head.
He was a lot harder than he was given credit for as well, John Collins. He didn't shirk a challenge or anything.
What a tackler. And I'll tell you another thing he had. He had that wee slide tackle where he used to come away with it, hook his leg around and come away with the ball. It was unbelievable. I can always tell him when we were together and all that, when he got his move to Monaco, because we were at Celtic together when he went to Monaco. He says he turned up on the training pitch, and you're talking about Thierry Henry, Trezeguet, all these superstars. John tells you, he says, exactly what happened, what I'm telling you at Celtic. He couldn't tell you what position any of them played in, because every one of them was a total footballer. 1 and 2 touch, round the corner, gives it back, follow your pass, all that stuff. Everything we got taught for Tommy Burns at Celtic. Never take more than 1 and 2 touch, no matter what you are and all that stuff. It was just unbelievable. It was an environment that you went like, wow, what this is, and the standard. And we had our laughs, we had our good times, a bit of banter, all that time, some great characters in there, but it was a must-win every week mentality. And we'd done that most of it. We were up against a right good Rangers team, and I think we got beat once in the league all year, and we still never won the league. So there you go. But
You
a great
mentioned
experience. A great experience. One that I'm going to tell you a story. One it because when I was leaving Falkirk, I was there for 6 years. We were leaving Falkirk. Jim Jeffries was going to Hearts with Bullebrun. And I was still at Falkirk, but my contract was up. And I got the phone call, do you fancy going to Hearts? Oh, I went, oh, I says, born bred leafer. Do I fancy going to Hearts? No, I don't fancy going to Hearts. Lucky the next again day, Celtic come in for me. So I think I dodged a bullet there.
No half. How did you move to Hibs come about, Yogi?
I was in at Celtic. They had signed Big Stubbsy. And they paid good money for Stubbsy. And I'm saying to myself, right, my time's probably up. When Tommy Bunn signed me for Celtic, he signed me for Celtic. You know, Fergus McCann didn't know anything about it. The rumour is the week before he had the big French left winger that played for Newcastle, big good looking guy, Ginola.
Yeah.
David Ginola was in the office at Park. He saw that, and the office door was open, and Fergus walked past and says, "What's going on here?" And Fergus pulled the plug on it. And Ginola went down to Newcastle that night or the next again day and signed for Newcastle. So when they were signing me the next again week, better looking than Ginola, by the way. He didn't tell Fergus. He says, "We'll take our chance on the tribunal." So every time I had a stinker, he used to say, "I should have left that office door open." And that was it. So anyway, the end of that year, he was signing Stubbsy. The writing was on the wall. I had another year to go. I just want to play football. There was a few English clubs. He was calling me up and saying, "Listen, do you fancy going down there?" "Nah, no for me." "Do you fancy this one?" "Nah." Kilmarnock was in. "Nah." And then he pulled me in one day. He says, and always Tommy Burns, the way he communicated and looked after his players was second to none. And he says to me, "I think you'll fancy this one." I says, "Who is it?" He says, "It's Jockey Scott at Hibs." I just leaned over the table and shook his hand. He went, No, you're just going to talk to them." I says, "Gaffer." I says, "I'll be going to Hibs." I says, "No matter what the deal is." I says, "I'm going to Hibs." He just stood up. I can remember to this day, stood up, shook my hand, gave me a cuddle. He says, "You can be proud of the job that you've done and wish me all the best." And that was it. So Douglas Crome, met Douglas Crome, Jockey Scott, and the deal was done, and that was it. And I'll tell you another thing. I've said right at the start of the programme, Hibs as a club is far removed from where it was when I was there, when I first went in at Hibs. I played with some great players. Some right when I first went in, guys like Wally Miller, the right back. Wally was hard as nails. Big Gordon Hunter, Jamesy, Pat McGinley, and all these guys. So we weren't a bad team. You know, we just needed a little bit extra and a little bit more to get us going. But really enjoyed every minute. For the minute I went, and Jockey Scott's coaching was unbelievable. Really good coach, really good lad, really enjoyed him. And then in come, it didn't work out for Jockey, and then come Jim Duffy, another one that really tried to get it going. But I don't think Jim had the finance to go and sign the real high quality players of the stature of Frank Sosie, Russell Latape, Mixie Patterlinen. So, you know, if you're up there, but we got off to a great start. I can remember Chick Chandler's goal against Celtic when Larson gave it away and Chick beat him. There was always a great spirit and everything amongst us. But even in Jim's time, it was jumpers for goalposts. But we're all over the place. Where are we training today, right? We're training at Edinburgh Academy. We're training behind doing it. Wardy up at the rugby pitch up at Wardy, then we're all over the place, and you're sort of saying to yourself, you know, for where I come from in Celtic, listen, I would train anywhere, but you're sort of saying to yourself, you're wanting the best as being a Hibs player, you're wanting the best as being a Hibs captain, and you're wanting the best, you want to see the club moving forward, you're trying to drag it, you're trying to set standards and demands, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. And that sort of second year when we got relegated, that's probably the worst time in my career, to tell you the truth. Really
was
it hit me hard. Oh, it hit me really hard. I was born bred Luther, stayed in Leith, so you know to get about it. But after a week, you're sort of saying, well, there's only one way you can do is make sure that we get back up.
Mhm.
And then as soon as you're seeing players like Frank Sosa and Latapi coming in, you're going, wow. I can remember Latapi's first day. I can remember it. We come into training. I think there was a reserve game or a friendly match, and I think it was Brecon up at Brecon, and Latapi and the buzz next again day. I think that he only played something like about 70 minutes and took him off. And the buzz about the dressing room next again day says, wait to see this wee guy, wait to see unbelievable, this wee guy for Trinidad and all that. And then next again minute he come in. I got lumbered with him. He was on the peg right next to me, so instantly we knocked it off. We went on the training pitch, doing it. Is it the Julian-esque at the back here?
Aye.
That's where we used to train. We went down there to Julian-esque. We done our warm up, went into boxes, rondos, 6v2, and he nutmegged me within 2 touches. I said, I'm going to fucking kill him, honestly. And then I realised, don't dive into this wee guy. This wee guy's something special. Left foot, right foot. Instantly, you could see it. This guy is a genius. And all you're saying after that is he got the legs? Has he got the engine? Has he got the desire? Will he put his foot in? What will he be like when the winter comes and all that? And Russell just went, give me everything. He adapted to every challenge that we gave him. He adapted to it. He was unbelievable. What a footballer. The best I've played with. Technically, he's the best footballer I've ever played with. Technically. Probably McStay is the best. Collins, all these guys, JC, all these guys are up there. Decanios. Technically. Because don't forget, I played with him for 3 years. And then I coached him. I took him to Falkirk. I coached him for. He says, I'll come to Falkirk for a year. It was. I think he left Rangers. Big Alec went to Rangers. Russell got out first, went to Rangers, and Big Alec went to Rangers.
Aye.
And I think then Big Alec shipped him out to Dundee United. He wasn't getting a game at Dundee United. Then I got the Falkirk job. And I said, I'm going to sign Latapi. And he says, right, I'll come for a year. And then he stayed for 3 or 4, got into the Hall of Fame. Everything that we done at Falkirk, Latapi was the catalyst. We had at Falkirk, my last game was the Scottish Cup final against Rangers. Nacho Novo scored the goal. They beat us 1-0. We were a better football team. And we had 6 of the academy players in the squad. 3 started. Darren Barr was my captain. He started. Scott Arfield started. Pam Scobie started. And the 3 players on the bench were Mark Stewart, he come on, Chrissy Mitchell, which dead now, God rest him, and Jamie Barclay. And the whole 6 of them were in the Scotland 21s. Everybody named them, 6 of them were in the Scotland 21 squad. That was the academy coming through at Falkirk at the time. And that was my last game for Falkirk then. I was off to Hibs as a manager. But as I say, going back to what we're talking about, I was never, listen, when we were at Falkirk, and Jim Jeffries was building the team that he was building. Just look at Jim Jeffries' recruitment at Falkirk. Unbelievable. You're talking about Simon Stainrod that was got to sign for Barcelona with Terra Venables. Big Sergeant, I used to call him Sergeant Garcia. Remember a big fat guard off his Zorro? What a character Big Simon was. I'll tell you another thing, what a footballer. Maurice Johnston, John Clark, Kevin McAllister, Joe McLaughlin was the captain of Chelsea, and we got him for Watford, Brian Rice, Davy Weir. His recruitment, Jim's recruitment was second to none. It's something that every day after training on a Tuesday, him and Burley Brown used to jump in the car on our way down south watching games. So when we got into football, went into the coaching, me and Chipper, Brian Rice, every Tuesday we were away down south watching games. So everybody says, how did you get Schmeichel? How did you get Tim Krul? How did you get Stokesy? Because we do our work. We're not sitting on our backside. We're doing watching games, and we always made sure that we applied for tickets and all that. So all the English clubs saying, this Scottish team's up watching us all the time. So when you made an inquiry for a player, then they were saying, here doing their work. We got lucky when I was at Falkland in terms of recruitment. We got the first one we got was a wee boy Craig, wee Patrick Craig.
Aye.
His sidekick was the boy O'Donnell. The two of them were bestie mates for Arsenal. We got they two. Liam Brady was in the academy, come up to watch us against Celtic. We beat Celtic 2-1. And then Liam come and playing proper football. Liam come to see us after the game and says, listen, give us a phone, I might have another 2 or 3 because he says, I love the style of football that you play. The next one was Stokesy. Stokesy was up to Falkirk, and then probably the best of them all was a boy called Graham Barrett. But Graham Barrett, when he come to Falkirk, he had a problem with his kneecap that he knocked it out. And in his rehab, they never realigned it properly. So he was always hampered with his knee. So we got about 5 or 6 for Arsenal. And then, as you say, Casper Schmeichel, ducking and diving and all that. When I went into manager for Hibs, it was different. Because we were going down there, we used to run the budget. All my time in football as a coach and a manager, I've never worked out a budget. 20 years in football, I've spent I think it's 240 grand on 4 players. I think it was 135 grand we got Stokesy when we signed him for Hibs for Sunderland. Dean Holden, 25 grand for Portsmouth, Falkirk. Alan Gill on a tribunal. I think we paid 50 grand. I signed him at Falkirk. We paid 50 grand to Airdrie, and we bought John Stewart, the wee striker, up at Aberdeen for 40 grand. Never spent money. I think if you're doing your work, you need to know where the players are. You can get them on loan. You can duck and dive, beg Boris Steele, and all that stuff comes from Jim Jeffries and Billy Brown, how to recruit. When we went to Hibs, it was different. Rod, you didn't know how much money you had. So Rod says, he's not going down south. I says, well, if we've got money to spend, well, we'll just go down if you see it. And so it was a wee bit of that. Rod linked to keep a hold of the purse strings. But once again, to be fair, we got Stokesy in.
Mm-hmm.
Stokesy come in. I got Liam Miller in. And then let me get 1 or 2. So you can't complain. Listen, it's all part and parcel of it. Sometimes a good coach is what you've got, get the best out of them. And sometimes when and that's what you do. So anyway, that was me away on a rant, right? So how did I get to Hibs? Back to Hibs as a player? No, and that was it. I just come through and I was signing for Hibs, and off we went. When we were at Falkirk, every time we played Hibs under Alec Miller, they couldn't beat us. They couldn't beat us. Even at Easter Road, Falkirk, we always had their number. They couldn't beat us. Playing at Easter Road, getting pelters for all the mates in the terrace and all the cousins and all that stuff, gave me pelters with a big smile on my face saying, no, we're always got to win. Going back to that, as a kid at 15-year-old, I was in at Hibs 2 nights a week training. We used to train on a Tuesday night and a Thursday night. Stan Vincent was our coach, and there was a year up above us that John Fraser used to take. And in that year above us was guys like David Bowman, Gary Mackay. We were all training at Easter Road. All them for Salvey, all us for Hutchie Vale. And then just 1 week, they went, whoa, where's Bowman, Mackay, and wee Robbo? Oh, away, they were away to Hibs, away to Hearts. And then coming at the end of that, you're saying to yourself, well, I'm leaving school and hopefully I'll go in full-time at Hibs, and it never materialised. I never got taken on, so I think my mum and my dad said, right, we need to keep this guy busy, you know what I mean? We can't let him with all that energy and all that enthusiasm I used to have as a kid, painting and decorating. So I'm a fully qualified painter and decorator. I was useless, but still got I'm still a tradesman.
Are you expensive, Yogi?
Very
I've got a few
expensive.
jobs.
Oh, no, but useless. Listen, but even that, it was a great grounding. And I always look back at sort of coming through and sort of saying, right, well, I never made it. Then, my dad says, what your old man says, he was a great supporter of anything I'd done at football. What you got to do, I say, I've got to still play with Hutchie Vale, played there, and then got a chance to go junior. And that was like, I went in Newton Grange Star. It was like going as a boy. I come out a man. I went in there at 18, 19, come out at 22. Honestly, and I tell this broken legs and teeth smashed out, broken. It was a man's game, proper man's game. I was going in with ex-professionals, and you're sort of saying to yourself, this is what football's all about. No, it's like they're playing football with their slippers on now. It was proper football, and I loved every minute. It was a great time. And then, as you say, for Newton Green Star, got the chance to go to Berwick Rangers, and that's where I got lucky. I'll tell you another story. When I was at Newton Green Star, the guy that signed me for Berwick Rangers was a guy called Jimmy Thompson. And Jimmy Thompson used to be a coach up at Easter Road. And I was doing well at Newton Green Star. He was a docker beside my old man. And my old man was saying, he's doing well. He said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I've got to look at him. Hibs were playing Bonnyrigg Rose in a friendly match at Easter Road. I was playing in midfield for Newton Green Star at the time. And Jimmy Thompson says, come up and I'll give you a trial. I went up, played against Bonnyrigg, lasted the first half. Jimmy Thompson says, come and sit next to me on the dugout for the second half. You know who went on in my place? Sojourn Cropley, Alec Cropley.
Really?
And he says, watch how it should be done. Unbelievable. The left foot was a wand. Unbelievable. And then I got to know Sojourn, Alec, because his old man, as we speak, Lucas trying to call me John Collins. I'm not taking that. He's trying to call me.
He must be watching.
He must be watching. And then
Did he tell them fuck all, Yogi?
Alec Cropley's brother, Tam Cropley, was the coach in Newton Green Star, and Alec used to come in and train at Newton Green Star, so that's why he's one of my favourites. Unbelievable, Cropley. So it just shows you, I'm talking then jumping and diving up, but it just shows you how it all comes together. We're all one big family. And do you know that guy? Have you played against him? Have you done that? And it all comes together. So that was it. But as you say, when I turned up at Hibs, it was like, that's the only club I wanted to go and play for. You know, it was, and my only regret at Hibs, I never turned up earlier. And I never stayed there later. That was my only regret. When I was at Falkirk and Alec Muller was the manager, there was a rumour every summer that I was going to Hibs, he was going to sign me. And it never materialised. For some unknown reason, there's a perception out there that people think that, you know, I'm a wee bit of a nutcase and all that stuff. You can't do anything with it, you know. You speak to anybody in football and they'll tell you when it comes to football, the focus and the desire to go and try and do it right and do it proper. It's up there. And I think if you look at it and being a footballer, as you say, no turning pro when you're a kid, getting to Celtic, getting to Hibs, captaining Hibs, doing what you're doing, and the career you've had in it, coaching and management, it just tells you it. You have to have something about yourself to do that.
There's I think I watched on YouTube the other day, a boy was talking about what was it? So the example again is if you've got two brain surgeons, right, and you've got one who looks like a typical brain surgeon, kind of immaculately dressed, old guy, looks like he's been doing it for years, and you've got another one who's like kind of falling off the back of a bin lorry. Go with the one that's been in the back of the bin lorry because he's made it as a brain surgeon despite how he looks. And that's almost what you're saying there. Like you've got that reputation. You don't know that you look like you've fallen off a bin lorry, but you've got that reputation of being like crazy or like mental, and you've succeeded despite that.
Do you want to know? I think you have to have that. I think you have to let the players know that you're free to express yourself. You know, you have to create an environment. I've sent you, I know what you can do. I'm not going to put the range on you. I want you to go and express yourself. And I think that it's that empathy and that understanding that you've got with your footballers that they go, I like this guy. And I guarantee you, if you talk to any footballer I've worked with, 95, 96, there's always a one or two that you just go, I'm not having this guy and he's not having you. 95% of them will tell you different class. Because I'm a footballer, I understand what they're going through, I understand the ups, the highs and the lows, and I get it. That's why even when I'm up at Easter Road now, sometimes it's a difficult job because you're getting all the fans' emotions if you're no winning at half time and all that stuff. And I just start laughing. I say, I've been there as a coach and a manager. First and foremost, take it easy. Second, there's a second half. We're not as bad as you're making it. And everybody wants to win, but you can't win every game of football. You can't make every pass, every shot you hit goes in. So you have to be a little bit more realistic in what you're trying to do. And it's over 90 minutes and it's over the season that you're saying to yourself, we're not a bad team. And that's what I keep saying to the supporters. I enjoy it going up there. I've been going up there for 50 years. So somebody says to me, are you enjoying it? I says, it's all the same old faces. We're just all getting old. It's all the same old faces. Well, what do you think? What about this? What about that? And what I notice about the Hibs supporters, they're just desperate for success. They want success. There's nothing a matter with that. It's like every football supporter, they want success and they want to see their team doing well. And I think that the ownership now is in a place, his investment, some putting his own money in, you can't ask for any more than that. What I would like to see there's a couple of things. I think we've went through too many managers. I think one or two managers should have been given a better chance. And I'd like to see some young kids coming through. I think the last one that's come through is Rudy. And I think Rudy played against Clydebank, and we've never seen him again. Never seen Rudy since then.
I was going to ask you on both of the things, right? So one of them was like about your time as a manager, because you were only, what were you, a season and a half? Or
a season. A season.
So did you have any regrets sort of thing about that?
See, in that season, we got fourth in Europe. But the relationship with Rod was difficult behind the scenes. You're pushing to get players in, Rob's, and it was difficult behind the scenes. The scenes, everybody says, I'm not here. Listen, Rod run a right good football club, and, he's got his, God rest him. I've not got a bone to pick with Rod, but you're sort of saying to yourself, I wanted what Alec McLeish got. I wanted the purse strings. I wanted to be the fans. I know what the fans wanted. Everybody forgets as well in that season as well. The stand got ripped and we played great football. Riordan, Nishi and Stokesy scored 52 goals between them. The next against season, the team never even scored 2 goals.
No.
It just shows you, come on, I mean, and then they ripped that stand down. So you've not got the supporters, and then the pitch went halfway during the season, and we were a total football side, real total football side. And if you look at the history of Rod goes through a manager a year, and I got well Warren before I went in. I'm not having a go. You're talking about Mixie Patter, Frank Sosie 69 days, Mixie Patter in a year, John Collins a year, myself, Terry Butcher, and all that stuff. So the history. But listen, everybody thinks you can go in and change it, and you can do everything different.
Started the season too well. Expectations went way high.
And you have to have the courage of your convictions. I'm not scared of anything. Bring it on. Give me a challenge. I went into some clubs fighting relegation, and it's no worked out. But I've got the courage of my convictions. Where other managers will go, oh, that's no for me. That could damage me when I'm going. If the team's in struggling and I need a hand, I'll go and give them my best shot. I've done it for 20 years. I know how to do it. And some of them work for you and some of them don't. The only one that disappoints me is the Dunfermline one, because the Dunfermline one, I'm no one for figures or numbers or percentages. Trust me, But the guy, it was the Dunfermline chairman. When I left, he come up and he says, "Have you looked at your percentages?" I went, "No." He says, "You're something like 0.2 behind Inverness on your win ratio." And Inverness finished 4th in the league. So that means that we're finished 5th. But we get relegated because you went in there too late and you've got no influence over all the other teams that are fighting relegation as well. But my win rate was right up there. And nobody knows that. You get relegated and everybody goes, oh, have a right good look at it. The win ratio was right up there. It would have got us 5th in the league. So it's just wee things like that. You go, doesn't matter. Come on, I mean, I don't put it. I'm no one for I've put it here now. Everybody will start laughing. I don't put it in a narrative to say I've done that. I just say it's part and parcel of football. You get on with it.
See on stuff you've done, right? There was a rumour flying about for years that you threw a glass of red wine over Rod Petrie.
Rubbish.
Is it?
Absolutely rubbish.
So that's got the exclusive on that. Then
But
it's no
that's what I'm
true.
saying. Absolutely
Tremendous.
rubbish. I'll tell you, the only time when Big Alec McLeish was manager, I was a captain in the club, and Rod wanted all the apprentices to pay for their lunch. Now, the apprentices are in there at 8:30 in the morning and still there at 4:30. And I just said, no, we're not having that. I went up to see Rod and I said, you can't do that. I said, first and foremost, I think we have to feed them. And I just says, but if that's the case, Rod, what we'll do, I'll get around the first team and we'll put money in. You can take money off our wages and we'll pay for it. Solidarity, everybody together, and that was the only time I ever fell out with Rod Petrie. Even when I was a manager, I never fell out with Rod Petrie. Rod Petrie, when my time was up at the club, Rod Petrie didn't fancy Brian Rice. And he says to me, he was offered, listen, we're all right with you, but we want you to bring in another number 2. And I says, that's not going to happen. I don't know if Rod knew I would walk because that was my character. You come in together, you go out together. And that was it. And the reason I think he didn't fancy Chipper was one of these guys that he would never let Rod sort of get to him and control him and get to manipulate him and all that stuff. And Rod wanted to do that. It was at times it was quite suffocating when you were managed because Rod knew everything. So you're saying, well, you can't be yourself here because if I have a bit of banter and have a laugh and all that stuff, it's going back to Rod. So there was too many people carrying stories back to Rod. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. If you run a business, you want to know everything. Sometimes you just need to stand back and let the guys go and do their stuff. And that was my feeling. But no, listen, I'll always be grateful and thankful to Rod for giving me the job and never, ever, ever fell out with him. Never, ever fell out with him. And all that stuff is, as I say, that's people's perception. You can't do anything with it. And that's a story and a myth that's been going about. And it wasn't a glass of red wine, it was a pint of lager, and I wouldn't miss a pint of lager, that's for sure.
See, your
A guy for Leith drinking red
glass
wine.
of red wine.
It always
Must
sounded
have been away then.
far-fetched. Yogi, you mentioned about wanting to see more young players coming through. So, in the day's game, how is it hard for managers? Like, what's the challenge for David Gray, for example, to getting young players into the team?
First and foremost, David Gray, we've set the standard of what we've done last year. We got that third spot, we got that European spot, we're playing football, the standard, we're winning. You want to do that every year. Can you do it with young players? I'm not too sure that you can. Young players nowadays, way back in my day when the money wasn't great and you're not paying out big wages, you would look at the young players to fill up your bench. You would look at the young players. If I'm talking about the development of the ones that I've done at Falkirk, Arfield, Scobie, and these guys put right into the first team dressing room at 16. Mm-hmm. Sink or swim. They were getting battered every week. 6 months in, 5-a-side team, we would put the young team together, we're getting battered every week. 6 months in, they've got their legs, they're starting to get bigger, they're starting to get strong, they're starting to batter the first team about. You go, oh, I've got 6 now. You're testing them, you're challenging them, you're dropping them, you're putting them in, you're taking them out. And then you're saying to them, you're playing against the best player I've ever seen. And trust me, Russell was better on the training pitch than he was on a match day. If you can get near him on a training pitch, then you've got nothing to fear. And it's just all these wee bits and pieces that you're using. In terms of nowadays, I just think David, Hibs are playing at that. They can go out and afford to buy the ready-made stuff. Hibs, years gone by, you talked about Tony Mowbray's team. Tony Mowbray was forced to go and play Bruni and Tomo and all the kids and Whitty and all that because they had no money. Mm. The time when I had it there as well, I think I had Witherspoon, Hanlon, wee Lewis all coming through, get them in. Stokes was a young boy, but we brought him back. But you're always looking at the young boys. When I first went into Hibs, I took over from Mixu, and the young reserve team was Welshie, Sean Welsh and Curry and Witherspoon and all that. And they only got beat once in that season. It was a dream team they were calling them, and it was Falkirk that beat them. And when I went on the training pitch, I think there was 10 of them on my first team training pitch. 10 of them. So I know Mitchell never signed them, and I never signed them. There was 10 of them on my first team training pitch. So the first thing you say is, right, I need to give them a chance. Right, come on, boys, this is what we're doing, this, that, they're all young kids, this is what we're doing. But instantly, you're saying to yourself, they're not going to take me where I want to go. So when you're going to Rod and saying, Rod's saying, you've got a squad. Hold it 1 minute, Rod. These kids are not ready. Get what I mean? But they're going to be ready if they're on my first team training pitch. And that's massive part of it. If you're a young kid and you're up there training with the first team, like what I described to you about what happened at Falkirk, you're got to become a better player. And for 6 months, if you're on that first team training pitch, training with the first team, training with the guys, Joe Newell and all these guys, you know, and you're in amongst it and you're getting better and better and better. After 6 months, you're not in the first team, then get your salute and low and go and play football. But make sure you're still back at Easter Road training, because on that training pitch, you know, you're learning so much. You're learning your craft, you're getting physical. I can remember when I went up to Inverness, the boy Scott Kelleher was the coach, the manager now. He was the coach of the first team, in the reserves. I says to him, I'm training with the first team. I says, have you got anything in the kids? He says, I think I might have one or two. I says, tomorrow you train in the afternoon. You come with me in the morning. We train with the first team, and I'll come and watch you in the afternoon. Afternoon, soon you went out. Oh, whoa, who's that guy? Ryan Christie. Pair of boots, I never gave him a shot in the first team. I seen him 1 minute. 1 minute, I went, whoa, who's that guy? Next day, he's in the first team. Him, Polworth. And there was another one that we brought in. His name escapes me. So I just went, give me this there with the first team. Knowing you've got to train with the first team. Everybody says, oh, Ryan Christie, he needs to do the gym, he'll need to do this, he needs to get stronger, he'll need to do this. I just started laughing. I said, 6 months training with the first team, he'll be up to speed.
That's what we always hear, Yogi. Like we've had good youth teams. It's a frustration of mine. We've got good youth teams that come through, win the league and all that, and then we're like, they're not quite big enough in the first, and then we just like let them drift away to the lower leagues.
Well, see all that. We just talked about one of the best players that I've played with in terms of John Collins. John Collins, what, 5'8", 5'9", 5 feet. Come on, I mean, absolute. See all that stuff. Everything in football now, right? There's a lot of stuff. Everything in football, everything you should do is technical. When you start playing football up to the age of 15. The age of 15, that's when you should start looking at positions. You should be able to play technical. You should be a centre-half. Everything, too late for me, but a centre-half, you're a ball-playing centre-half, you're getting the ball, you're passing it, you can still go and head it. Then you get 15. I've seen so many kids at 15, small. You know, height should never come into it. It just should be technical ability. Technical ability. And if you're good enough technically, you know, your best player in the world, you look at your Barcelona teams, technical ability, Iniesta, Xavi, Messi. Technical ability. I mean, I know a sudden go and not try and knock Messi off the ball. You're not getting near him. He's boom out my way, because all that technical ability. Latapi was first 5 yards. He just got his body, and then you couldn't get off him. And he was what? Latapi 5'8", 5'9". All the wee guys, low centre of gravity, technical ability, and I think we miss a trick at we go. Oh, we want to go big, physical, and we forget the technique. And that's a Scotland trait. It's a trait in Scotland. It's a trait in Scotland. I think it's changing. I think it's definitely changing. I'm seeing a lot of coaching schools, guys setting up coaching schools, individual coaching schools, and I know they're getting one-on-ones and players are getting one-on-ones, and it's all technical ability they're getting. You know, you're talking about the curve over, step over. And do you want to know something? It wasn't until I went to Hibs with Stan Vincent that we started getting all that, you know, throwing the ball in chest, doing back, knee, turns, twists. No matter what position, everybody got trained the same. In terms of going back to Hibs, I just think Hibs is very difficult as it is for Rangers and Celtic, because you can afford to buy real top, the finished article. It's very difficult for young players to get into the team. But it's a challenge, isn't it? It's a challenge. It doesn't stop you still working the system. And even though one or two players are not getting into the Hibs first team, I think Hibs have sold 2 or 3 players down south.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but you've got to get 3 times, 4 times the money if you get them into the first team and they've played something like, 50 games. So there's a balance, but I can totally understand it. It's a frustrating. Listen, we talked about Tony Mowbray's team, even when I was coming through all the young ones, Kenny Miller, Gary O'Connor, Derek Riordan, all these guys. You know, they turned up and he just turned up and he just said, there's a chance you might get in the first team. They just need that sniff in the rough and run. There again, it might come for the person, it might come for the player if you got that desire. If you got that strength of character to say, I'm not bothered if I'm 18, 19, I'm going on that first team training pitch and I'm going to batter you right out the way. And if you're a manager, if you're saying that, you're saying to yourself, whoa, this guy needs to go in. But you get these young guys, as I say, going back to my Falkirk team, they go on the first team training pitch, they're scared to tackle, they're scared to get into an argument, they're scared to stand up for themselves. And I'm at the back of it winding up 6 months in, they'll fight with anybody, they'll take on anybody, and they don't want to get beat. And you say, well, job half done here.
Right, Yogi, we're almost out of time, and
we've not even started yet.
Do you want to come on for a part 2, 3, and 4? Like you can just talk all the time.
Very quickly, we'll run just a couple of sort of the highlights or lowlights for the Hibs time, and then if you then we'll get 5 minutes on the Rangers game the Monday night. The Millennium Derby, what was that like to play in?
The Derby was different class. I got sent off in my first Edinburgh Derby. I got conned for Stephen Pye, the striker?
Aye.
A corner come in and the big boys, Jules Russo, went to catch it. I said, I'm not giving him a free catch. I clattered them. They weren't happy. I knocked him on his backside, come running back to the halfway line, and the boy, Stephen Pye?
That was him, yeah.
And I patted him on the head like that, and he went down like a ton of bricks. John Rowbottom was the referee, and he never seen it. It was the linesman that put his flag up, and I got sent off. And the funny thing, it was Jim Jeffries and Bully Brown was manager of Hibs and Hearts, and you're thinking you're getting sent off. I've got a bit of sympathy here. Far from it. Get down the tunnel, you animal. And I just went, oh. I said, is that right? I said, well, every dog has its day. And I got it. Took us a while, but I probably got it back when we played them in the Millennium Derby. We standing in the tunnel, they kept us waiting, and I'm standing in the tunnel, and you were aware of them eventually coming down the tunnel. I turned around, behind me, Big Sean Dennis, Big Miner, Big Sean, God rest him, that was my big mate, Big Veggie. He's one guy in football I wouldn't have messed with. He's one guy you just so.
Everybody says that about him.
Big Veggie, you know, me and him got on great. He was my big partner. Big Veggie was standing behind me. I had the Roy Keane on, I had the veins in the eye, and right. Turn around, Big Veggie, he's got the focus. Turn around behind him, Nick Colgan, Dirk Lehman, Mixu Pataline, and he's got a head size of a bowling ball. You know what I mean? Behind him, Frank Sosie. Hearts had a few Hearts players at the time. They're on the tunnel playing homage to Frank. Behind him, Pat McGinley, Stuart Lovell. Kenny Miller's on the bench, Tim, and right at the bottom, right at the end, I think he had a flag on, right at the end of the tunnel, Latapi. and you're just looking and saying, this is a man's team. What I say to you earlier on, this is a proper team. This is a man's team. There was only one winner. We weren't getting beat that night. And you see Kenny Miller coming on and scoring the third goal, 15 minutes to go? And the whole of Tynecastle, all the Hearts fans leaving, just the Hibs fans bouncing behind the goals. That was one of my favourite times. Absolutely fantastic. But I loved it. You had to make sure I was, as I say, I got conned in the first one. Always made sure that I had ice in my veins and let them know you were in a game. But, you know, there was no quarter asked, no quarter given. When I went in as manager, because my philosophy was total football, I've always felt I could football them.
Mm-hmm.
If I went in a game, that would make sure I put more of a physical team in, because sometimes the ball, you can leave the ball in the dressing room and it's a physicality, you know, and there's just wee bits and pieces like that. but loved it. Loved every minute of it. You know, I think I was doing a podcast a couple of years ago, and somebody says, I think my ratio's not too bad against Hearts as a player and as a manager.
Good.
Still here, I'll tell you another stat. Last Hibs manager to win at Parkhead.
Aye, Galbraith scoring.
That's it, Danny Galbraith. I think Stokesy scored the first one in Galbraith, so that one's still going.
Well, hopefully that ends soon. Eh?
Well, definitely.
On Stokesy, you had to sell him as a manager. Was that a bit of a turning point in your time as manager at Hibs?
The Stokesy deal was done a month before it got done. We're in football, everybody knows. And you know when it got done? It got done right on the last day of the window, eh?
Aye. Need time to bring somebody else in.
Aye, so. And we had, was it we had the big striker on loan. Forget his name, the big boy, we had him on loan, so we're saying, well, we may as well sign him. You know what I mean? I don't know if he was quite good enough and all that stuff. And the last day, and I knew about it, but that was what was going on in the background and all that stuff. And I was actually talking to Stokesy, and I says to Stokesy, he knew Celtic was in, I knew Celtic in. See, as a manager, I wouldn't stand in any player's way if they want to go and they think it's better. If I was at Hibs and Celtic come in, me being a player, local boy, all that stuff, you're probably sort of saying to yourself, would you have went? I probably would have, because as a young kid, I was a Celtic supporter up to the age of 14. I used to go on the Leaf supporters bus through to Parkhead, but then my Hutch of Vale started playing on a Saturday, so you couldn't get part of Parkhead, so you used to get your game and get up to Easter Road, and that's when I fell in love with Hibs. And it changed. I went, nah. I like, and all the mates, all the Leaf boys were all going up there and all that stuff. So it's been a massive part of my life, Hibs. Even now, it is that ambassador role that I do. I'm sort of saying to myself, I don't know if that's for me. I don't know if I can do that. I've really enjoyed it. You're seeing all the same old faces with a right good laugh. And I've met some real wonderful people outside football. Obviously, we've all got something in common. We're Hibs supporters. But even getting to know them and playing golf with them and getting to know them and getting to know their character and all that stuff, getting to know them, their family, you're sort of saying to yourself, that's what it's all about. I've really enjoyed it. I really have enjoyed it. So, long may it continue. I need a wage rise. I need a wage.
We'll start the campaign for that. One of our Australian listeners asked me to take issue with you about comments about Martin Boyle diving. I can't remember who you were in charge of, maybe a pundit or something like this.
No, I was a manager of Ross County, and we were playing. When we were Ross County, we beat them 2-0 at Easter Road in the COVID, and then we were up at Ross County, and Boyle dived for a penalty. And the referee gave him it, and he got booked for a tackle, and then he dived for another tackle, and the referee should have sort of booked him again and sent him off. So after the game, all I says was the last time, it was a great comment. The last time I seen diving like that, the guy had a pair of Speedos on.
See, when you're a manager, do you sort of come when you're going to make a comment like that that'll get a wee bit of traction? You just do it for a wee bit of mischief?
It was tongue in cheek. It was tongue in cheek, actually. Nothing against Boyley or anything like that. It's part and parcel of the game. Listen, I've got to tell you something. See, when I was a manager and I was working with players, I'd say to them, if you get a chance to go down, go down. Let the referee make the decision. So that's part and parcel of the game. And it was more having a go at John Beaton, who was a referee. And I think if you speak to, listen, I don't think it was a penalty. But listen, I've had plenty of it. Being a coach and a manager, you're sort of saying to yourself, we've won a watch here, It's all part and parcel.
Take it when it goes your way, one of these ones.
Definitely. But as I say, it was a bit of banter and all that. But once again, if you go back to Boyley, I think he's playing a right good part in terms of his role at Hibs. That captain role. Mm-hmm. A little bit miffed why he never took the penalty against Rangers.
Aye, well, he'd missed one
Because
before it.
McGrath stood up and took it.
Ah,
Was McGrath taking them before?
McGrath taken one before it. And I think McGrath's only missed one penalty in his career
No, but
before.
was Boyle not taking them? And then
Aye,
somebody sell out the team and we got a penalty and McGrath took it and scored.
aye, and then he stayed on them.
So he stayed on them. So,
Aye.
but Boyle was on the pitch against Rangers, eh?
Aye.
I thought
Think
Boyle
so.
would have step aside. Nothing to McGrath, another one I think he's right up there with Mulligan in terms of his work ethic. He's got a goal, can see a pass. What's his best position? It's probably behind the strikers. You know, that
Aye.
getting back into midfield as Josh Campbell, I says Chisholm earlier on, Josh Campbell done. You know, he's one. He'll get in beyond the striker, score a goal, get back and help the midfielder. So there we go. That's it. Part and parcel of football.
And Rangers tomorrow night. How would you set up to beat them?
I think you have go and have a go at them, don't you? But it's all right. Listen, I've been manager and I went to Ibrox, I went to Parkhead, and you went like that. Right, we're going to set up. We're going to go and have a go at them. Before you know it, you're pinned in your own half. It just happens. You sort of say to yourself, that was in the game plan. We were trying to get a higher press up and all that stuff. It just happens. And before you know it, you feel yourself, the first press is around about the halfway line. I think it suits Hibs. I really do. I think it suits Hibs. I think Hibs are I've watched Hibs numerous times. And I think Hibs with 5 at the back, and this is what I get for all the fans. Why do we play this way? I'm not a lover of 5 at the back for a simple reason. I think you're a man down in midfield. You're a man down in midfield. If you can play a sitting midfielder, it can be your quarterback. You can go and press with the other 2 midfielders. That's your left and right midfielder. Go and press, right? Then you can go and help them. Also, if he's playing in front of the 2 centre-halves, you're only asking him to play 10 yards and 20 yards in front of the 2 centre-halves instead of 10 yards behind them. Also, what it does when you're playing 5 at the back, if the other team plays 2 wingers or centre-forwards, you're camped in. Because your full-backs can't go, they're marking. Your 3 centre-halves are picking up 1, and you're getting a doing in midfield. Now, if you're looking at tactically, you've got 2, and that's where you're probably looking at McGrath to come back and help them. So if the other team's playing 3 in midfield, and then you've got match-up. You've only got 2 against 4. The opposition full-backs come, who goes and gets them? Boyle has to do the 2 strikers, so Boyle has to do 1. McGrath has to do the other full-back, so you're back down to 3v2 in midfield. No, and that's why I don't like 5 at the back. I like an extra one in midfield that can go and support, go and press, help your front 3. And if your full-back gets taken out and your centre-half goes out into your right-back position, that sitting midfielder can just drop in. What am I to say? Listen, David was a 4 at the back. Then we went 5 at the back against Aberdeen. Rocky scored the late goal to get us a 3-3 draw, and it's just been upwards ever since. So I think that's right, good management. If it works for you, if it's not broken, don't change it. And it's been great management, you know, and long may it continue. Long may it continue. In terms of this season, I know we're ready to wrap. In terms of this season, wouldn't it be great if we could overtake Hearts in the league?
Tremendous, aye. That's what we're all wanting to happen, eh?
So if we can get a wee result, a couple of results, you know, stay unbeaten, going into the Hearts game and beat Hearts, then you never know. But once again, you know, I think everybody, you need that rivalry in Edinburgh. You need it. You need it. You need the banter. You need it. And sometimes when the other opposition's doing well, you need to take your hat off to it and say, well done to you. But we're on your shirt tail. Because them doing well will make Hibs better. Hibs doing well will make Hearts better. And then if that gives you a chance to win a cup or break the old firm, then that's great for Scottish football.
It's not that great if it happens this season. Unless it's us. And then what they win in the fucking Cluedo competition, never mind the fucking league.
Listen, I'm leaving you for this. I'm not a big Hibs fan, right? But you know, Inverness, when I was up there, you know, we won the Scottish Cup the year before.
Aye.
And you know, we had the open top bus and all that stuff after it the day and that. Hibs win the Scottish Cup. They had the open top bus. Wow, what a parade that was. Did you see Edinburgh Castle, the lights and all that, coming at the lights? See the time they won it before then? They were building Edinburgh Castle. Listen, somebody told me that the other week there, and I didn't take too kindly at being a Hibs supporter, but you have to laugh, don't you?
Okay. We can laugh about it now because we've won
the
it.
best drug in the world, laughter.
Aye.
See banter and laughter and having a laugh and having a carry on and all that. The best thing in life. Best thing in life. That's why I love to surround myself with people that like to have a carry on, have a laugh, don't take themselves too serious. Being around these people, you know, there's always something on the go, and you get a bit of fun. And I think even football, listen, when you're in football, you're in the coaching, you're in the management, you play to win. 100% your focus and all that stuff. But I also think that you have to enjoy the highs and the lows. And if somebody says to me, Yogi, if finishing this podcast, what would you say finishing up? I'll tell you what I would say. I would give everything up, the highs, the lows, who I played for, to start all over again at the age of 14, 15.
Mm.
And I'm talking about the lows, I'm talking about broken legs, injuries and all that stuff, getting relegated and all the highs, you winning the cup. I'd get all over again to start at 15. Very, very lucky boy to do something that I love. Very, very lucky boy. And I didn't take it for granted. I really do. I appreciate it every minute, and I appreciate it for going way, way back to all my coaches that had a great belief in me when I was 13, 14, 15. You know, these guys, many a time a coach coming down the house and saying, because I wasn't got to training, come on, you need to get training. All these guys have played a massive part, and I would like to say in the career that I had.
Brilliant. Well, Yogi, we'll not take up any more of your time. It's been probably the least work we've had today on a podcast since we started doing it, which is tremendous for us. Really appreciate your time. All the best for the festive season. Got a few listeners passing on their good wishes for Christmas and that as well, Yogi. So thanks for coming on. And if you could give John Collins a wee nudge, we'd appreciate that. We've been chapping his door.
Listen, I'll tell you one thing about JC. JC's his own man. He keeps his cards. He wouldn't give you a nod in the desert. Right, top man.
Brilliant.
I'll see you later, boys.
Thanks, Yogi.
Go
Cheers.
the Hibs. See you later. Cheers.
Cheers.
Is that all right?
Perfect, Yogi. Aye.
All right.